You need to restart your computer. Hold down the power button for several seconds or press the restart button. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be seeing if we can install PowerPC Linux, specifically a Deli Linux, onto this iMac G4. Now this machine's from 2002, meaning it's 20 years old, and it's going to be even harder to put Linux on it than any old 20-year-old PC because PowerPC Linux doesn't have as much support as like Intel Linux and stuff like that. So I have burned a disk. It's just as legitimate as every other Deli Linux PowerPC disk because Linux is free, but there's one small problem. If I turn on the computer, and I'm not sure if you can actually, I don't think you can actually eject the CD drive with the machine in this state, but I've tested it before, you just have to trust me. And the CD drive, when I put the CD in, it just spits it out and rejects it. I have not done any other troubleshooting. All I've done is burn the disk and tested it to see if it showed up in the option menu, which it didn't. However, we can use our good friend, an old channel classic, the garbage drive. Also, the reason why the duct tape is gone is because I had to replace the DVD drive itself since the old one stopped reading discs. I burned the disk using this drive, so maybe that's why it doesn't work. So I'm going to go ahead and get a FireWire cable to get this thing up and running. Alright, here's my FireWire 800-400 cable. Memories. I'm going to plug this in to here and plug the other one into the back of the iMac. Now I'm going to turn on the disk drive. Open it up. Stick the Deli Linux disk into here. And shut it. It's making noise, but it always does that, even if there's no computer. I'm just going to click the reload button. And hopefully it shows up in the menu. The computer doesn't seem to detect it at all. I'm going to boot into an operating system and see if it detects it then. But I have to wait for this to load first. But let's boot into Leopard here, or Tiger rather. Leopard sucks on this machine. And I hear the disk spinning, okay. So the machine does appear to be reading it, I'm pretty sure. It just doesn't seem to show up in the Alt menu. The computer's clock is set to a date before March 24th, 2001. And the disk is showing up. We can see the disk data here, including the volume icon, which is... Oh, that's how the... I've always wondered, actually, how the Linux icons on the boot menu show up. It must be on volumeicon.icns. It just shows up that way. I'm going to restart the computer. Hold down Option and see if that gets the disk to show up in the menu. If not, I'll see if it shows up in Open Firmware, but I don't remember how Open Firmware works, so that might not work. I believe I actually have another FireWire drive that has a whole bunch of Mac installations, but I could have wiped that one. I don't remember. Oh, it's actually spinning. Oh, look at that. Haha. Well, that's a bit of a shocker. It actually showed up. Garbage drive to the rescue. I honestly did not expect that to happen. But now we can go into here and launch the installer. Wow. It is very graphically bad. I don't know if you can see this easily. Sorry about the moire pattern. I think there might be a way to fix that. We could see... I don't know if you can see, but I can see it says in pink, in very light pink, a Deli Linux live PowerPC 32-bit. I don't think this is only a live disk because it's like 1.5 gigs, and that's about the size of like a Debian install disk. So, yeah. It might need network, which I don't have plugged into this computer right now. And wow, that is pink text on white. I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to happen. but we're actually getting somewhere. Hopefully the graphical interface doesn't have weird colors like this does, but I don't think it will. Graphic design is my passion. Well, it looks like the same graphics error is happening right now. And I know the graphics card isn't bad in this machine because I've never had any issues with the graphics on macOS. I do notice just straight lines across the screen. That's a bit concerning. I'll give it time because it is a CD and CDs are not exactly known for speed. Alright, it's been a couple minutes at this screen right now, so I think there's something up. And it's not just stalling. I'm pretty sure it's trying to load Xorg and failing. That's my guess as to what's happening, because this graphics card does not work well with Linux one bit. So, we're going to be seeing if it works on a more compatible graphics card made by NVIDIA on my G4 PowerBook 12-inch. So, I'm going to shut off this computer and then turn that one on and see if it works. And hold down Option. I didn't get a startup chime though, so that's a bit concerning. Well, we're booting into macOS even though I had Option held down. I do know this keyboard's faulty though, so yeah. God damn, this screen's dim. I'm gonna have to turn my lights down quite a bit. Now, I was trying to do a project where I edited a video on one of these machines, but it never ended up going anywhere because the video editing software was just way too slow and impossible to work with. So I'm going to try with a USB keyboard to, again, get to the option menu. And again, it just boots me into macOS. I have no idea. And despite all that, it still wants to boot into frickin' macOS. Alright, maybe the solution, I'm kind of going into speculative, I don't know if this is going to work territory, but maybe the solution is actually to plug the disk drive into the PowerBook, and then maybe use startup disk utility to force it to boot from the disk drive. And that should give it a little more time for me to press the button. Because the disk is in the drive. Everything's here. Now I'm going to see if system preferences will detect it as a bootable drive that I can reboot from. What I'm going to try to do is set it to network startup, and then it won't be able to find anything, so I could hopefully hold down Option. Hopefully this doesn't brick the computer though, because no, I could reset the PRAM and that would fix it, but if it doesn't register key presses upon boot, I can't do that, of course. And it still didn't do anything. Now it's searching for network volumes. So I've officially gone 0 steps forward, 1 step back. That's fun. And now it's giving me this error, and it might eventually try to boot from hard drive? No guarantees. Now I'm going to see if resetting the PRAM even works on this. I can't even reset the PRAM. What is this? I don't understand what the problem with this machine is right now. I do have an idea, and it's going to require me basically removing the keyboard from this computer, and then seeing if it will register from a USB keyboard then. Because I know this keyboard might be pressing a weird key and like shorting some points that make it so that it doesn't register key presses on startup somehow. So that is my hypothesis as to what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug everything from the computer. Begin work on taking this machine apart, something I have not done in quite some time. then I'm going to try booting up the machine without the keyboard and use the USB keyboard for getting to the Alt menu. And there's the Linux disk. Now if we can get Linux installed on here, I can put this iMac into target disk mode and then install it using the graphical installer, hopefully, although I hear the graphical installer doesn't work. Okay, we're actually getting black and white instead of white and pink. Let's see. Let's wait for this to boot. It'll take a couple minutes because CDs are known for their speed. And we got a cursor. We can move it around the screen. It's the modern KDE cursor. I think this is actually going to boot into KDE Plasma, which is pretty awesome.
One eternity later.
Okay, it's actually loaded, it seems. KDE, that actually works. Alright, I'm afraid... Oh, wow! Wow, we actually have almost full speed animations. Oh my god. That's insane. That's literally insane. They managed to get, like, there's a little tearing, but they managed to get the animations working perfectly. Okay, that's just insane. But my guess is it's going to require the terminal, because there's no installer. Okay, the speed at which this is working is insanity. This is barely slower than, like, low-end computers running KDE now. It's better than the Raspberry Pi. The graphical installer didn't work for many people, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to take the risk, and I'm going to try the graphical installer and see if it works. Alright, we're loading up the graphical installer. I don't care about any of the data on this computer. While it will be awesome if this works the first time, I doubt it. US, sure. Continue. Erase and use whole disk. Oh, okay. So, that's a problem. I'm going to have to plug in Ethernet and then set it up on my computer, so I'm going to do that. Ethernet cable. Okay, I plugged the Ethernet cable into both sides, but I don't seem to be getting anything about it on... Wow, this is fast for PowerPC. It appears my PC is not detecting the Ethernet, which either means the cable's dead or the Ethernet port on this laptop's dead, which I don't think it is. I think I've tested it before. Alright, we have a USB to Ethernet cable. Because this machine, I believe, has USB 1.1, this will be incredibly slow. But let's go ahead and plug this in like this. Yep, nothing. Everything should be working. Everything is configured in such a way that it should theoretically work, but it just isn't, and that's a bit strange. I don't know why that's happening. What I actually want to see, I doubt this is going to work, but I'm just going to click automatic and see if it detects my Wi-Fi, my network. The system could not obtain an address. Review DHCP log. ETH0 waiting for carrier. Timed out. DHCP CD exited. Now how do we deal with this with ETH1? We don't want ETH0. We want ETH1. That doesn't seem to even try. I'm gonna exit here. Whoop. That's a problem actually. I don't want to reboot my computer. Okay, it doesn't seem to be rebooting my computer. I'm gonna restart the installer manually. Go here. Go here. Go here. Here. Erase and use whole disk. There. Automatic. Internet. Oh, okay. Now it's actually, like, doing stuff. It seems like it just doesn't detect things as they're happening. Okay, now I'm going to choose Internet ETH1. Oh, oh my god, this actually worked. This actually frickin' worked. Alright, now we're gonna get super slow download speeds. PowerPC Linux. Now this is for root. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's reasonable. Personal name. Alright, continue. And that's everything. Configure hard disks. Oh, we are getting an error. An error occurred when manipulating this computer's hard disk. Okay, I know the disk is correct. I know everything's correct there. View log here. Partition 1 has been requested, but the disk has 1 partitions. Well, that's not helpful. Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the iMac to target disk mode, and then I'm going to see if I can install PowerPC Linux onto the iMac through target disk mode through FireWire. The iMac is now in target disk mode! And everything should now be theoretically hooked up. Well, one, I need to re-plug the keyboard into the PowerBook because I'm dealing with 1 keyboard, 2 computers here. Let's see, will the iMac show up on FireWire? Otherwise I'll have to deal with some FireWire daisy chaining configurationing. Because I'm not sure exactly how the technology works because I've... Oh, yep, it does show up. Okay. Now we got everything hooked up through this mess. Ignore the speakers. But I have basically, there's a FireWire 400 to FireWire 800 going into the back of the garbage drive, and there's a FireWire 400 port on the garbage drive that goes into the back of the iMac. Oh, it's a mess, but it's a functional mess, so who cares? Now I can do the originally intended thing of installing it on the iMac. Even if I can't run it on the iMac, I can install it on the iMac. Deli Linux PowerPC, and now I need to wait another 10 minutes for this to boot. You're finally up and running. Back in KDE. This time I'm actually going to do the manual installation under the manual installation section of the website, because there's pretty much no way that the installer is actually going to work correctly. I go to KDE Partition Manager and see what it detects. It should detect both the FireWire and the internal, hopefully. Alright, I think it says it doesn't detect things, but that's just because it's a graphical bug with KDE Partition Manager. And we can see that the drive is here. I can look at files on it just fine. What I'm going to try is launch the installer and then do the internet configuration from the installer itself, and then just close the installer, because that should get me onto the internet so that I can install packages and stuff like that. Plug it into the USB adapter. Doop. Set it to ETH1. And this should connect successfully, like it did last time. And then that will allow me to... Yep, there we go. I'm going to quit. I'm going to exit the installer. And I'm going to go back into the NIF config. Should now, yep, it detects ETH1. It detects all that stuff, and ping www.google.com actually goes through properly. I just need to do the manual installation like what the system says. Identify your target disk. I'm just going to use dev SDB. I'm going to do Mac -fdisk /dev /SDB. Command I. Yes. Quick note here, while it may look like it's doing something here, it's not. I could have gone on to the next command. It's just a visual glitch in Mac fdisk. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do this differently. I'm gonna do dd if equals /dev /0 of equals /dev /sda bs equals 1m count equals 1000. Alright, I actually did this wrong. I'm supposed to do of equals dev sd b. That was supposed to be an SSD. You know, I'm just going to do it on the internal drive on this PowerBook. I kept flipping back and forth. I might get it working on the iMac later on, but I can always target disk mode this computer and do it on the iMac, whatever. /dev /sda. Another note here. If I knew how to use Mac fdisk, I could have saved so much time, but I didn't. So I kept doing it wrong, and it kept giving me errors that didn't make any sense. But that's just because I did it wrong. Alright. Hopefully this actually works. I mean, it's possible that it's weirdly corrupted in such a way that this just is going to stall here forever. Trying to create what I want it to. But hopefully this actually initializes properly and doesn't just stall here forever. But we're barely getting disk activity. If we look down at the sleep light, which has been repurposed as a disk activity light in Adelie Linux. So I might have to do a reformat or a wipe of the disk through Mac OS, which means stopping the computer again, restarting it, and then like doing everything over again, which is going to be a little bit annoying, but whatever. Alright, it's basically stalled here forever. I'm actually going to see if I just type in C here. Oh! Well, that's strange. It just didn't print out command. It didn't print out command !" for help again. So if I just type C, I'm going to do 64, 100 megabytes. I'm going to follow exactly how it says, so help, that's the name of the partition, I think. Then HFS. Requested base and length is not within an existing free partition. Well, here's my solution, and I think this is going to work. I need to wipe the hard drive inside this computer, but I don't know the Linux tools well enough to do that. I know gparted well enough. I know like GNOME disks, but I don't know KDE Partition Manager because that doesn't actually work. I don't know parted enough to do that. You know what I'm just gonna do? I'm not gonna try to initialize this through Linux. What I'm going to do is go ahead to leave here. Or not, if the CD won't spin, or it is spinning, but if the CD won't give me the leave menu, I guess I won't do the leave menu. I'm just going to do this. The computer is now turned off, so now I need to boot it up with a Mac disk in the drive. Unfortunately, don't know if I have one. Alright, between these clips I did two important things. Burn a macOS 10.4 Tiger DVD, and eat lunch. And after that, I booted up the machine with macOS 10 Tiger in the drive. So I'm just going to completely wipe the drive from scratch through the disk utility in the macOS 10 Tiger disk. Okay, that did not take as long as I thought. It only took like a minute, so let's go in here. And man, this drive is quick compared to any other drive I've used. The garbage drive Maybe the garbage drive isn't so garbage after all. Speaking of garbage, my cable management. Alright, here's the internal hard drive. Let's do erase. And I think if I do partition, and then I do one partition, I just do free space. I click partition, and this should completely remove any partitions from the drive. Yeah, look at that. We have a free space partition that's exactly the same size as the drive. So now, we go ahead and quit out disk utility, and then quit installer, and then click restart. I would say pop out the Tiger disk, but it isn't popping out, so I guess I have to wait until it detects it and then finishes loading before it will pop out. Let's go into the CD. We have the same grub error. That's normal. And we're going in. Erase the beginning of the disk, so that would be the command I used last time, sudo dd if equals slash dev slash 0 of equals slash dev slash sda bs equals 1 megabyte count equals 1000. Right, su dash, and then I need to do live, and then I can do the same command, which I'm just going to do Shift Control C and Shift Control V. And now it's working. Now that done, I need to do sync. And then Mac fdisk /dev /sda. I messed around with Mac fdisk for a while, but I couldn't get it to work. This led to me thinking that I had to do a completely unnecessary Mac OS X Tiger installation to get the bootstrap partition to work properly. Okay, so I've looked a little bit more into it on here, and it appears that I made a pretty crucial mistake. The way that it is done manually in this configuration is you need to have macOS installed first. I'm not going to do this on camera. I'm going to do a special strategy where I just snap my fingers. And we're done! OS X Tiger has been installed. So now I'm going to insert the Deli Linux disk into the CD-ROM drive, or the DVD drive rather. And this is the Linux disk, so let's boot up from that. Alright, we are back up and running in KDE. So now I just need to relaunch the terminal and go through pretty much everything I've gone through already again. DHCPCD ETH1. Alright, now I need to basically just follow Action Retro, his guide. After that, I followed Action Retro's guide from a year ago. It'll be linked in the description. Exit. Reboot. Now. Do it now. Not later, now. Warning, the system is going down now! Alright, we're not seeing anything as of immediate. Alright, we see the CD. That's not a good sign. That's not a good sign at all. I think I know how to fix it. And this is what Sean does. It's not going to immediately boot, but the fix is to manually set it using open firmware. So, time to boot into open firmware, I suppose. Open firmware keys. Set. env boot device. HD:2, I think. /grub. Okay. If I do reset all, crossing our fingers, crossing all of my fingers, every single one of them, that this thing actually boots up properly. Oh, yes. This is working. This is actually working. We're booting from the hard drive. Now, I seriously doubt we're actually going to get a GUI because we didn't install it properly. I might be able to get a few things working. Okay, we are on subscribe. Yeah, that's what you should do. We are dealing with Ethernet right now. Hopefully it actually works. Yep, there we go. Okay, we are stalled here. Okay, I think I know what the problem is. It just... all I have to do in order to fix this is just do... Alright, that was the problem. It just didn't boot up properly there. Alright, now I can do my super secret password. Okay. A very bare minimum version of Adelie Linux is actually working on this computer. So, now what I want to do is see whether I can get this thing up and running on the iMac that's been behind me the entire time by using target disk mode. We're into the system, so now I can do apk install xorg server, or add rather, apk add xorg server. Now it's installing some xorg stuff. I'm going to see apk add plasma desktop. That's my guess is the... Yep, that's the name of the plasma desktop. So now it's installing all the KDE miscellaneous junk. Now I have no idea if this is actually going to launch first time, but if it doesn't, I am going to just end the video here, and if it does, then, you know, that's fine too. I'll probably also end the video here. I'm not going to try to tinker with Xorg for hours in this video, but in the future, absolutely, I will tinker with Xorg for the rest of my life if I have to. Alright, now if I do X, if I just click X, I doubt this will work first try. Alright, we are getting somewhere. We don't have a cursor yet, but we're definitely at a black screen. It's actually more promising than you might think. Welp, X is not working. Hopefully in the future we can tinker with the computer until we can get X working, but for now I think I'm going to leave it off here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the future.